friends of St. Paul's. Today is Wednesday, January 6th. Happy New Year. It's 2021, and the first celebration with the church of the new year each year is Epiphany. And Epiphany is the festival where we celebrate the light that led the wise people from the east to the place where Jesus lay. These people who avoided political ramifications by ignoring what King Herod told them to do, not putting Jesus in danger, going back the way they had come, and instead choosing a different way home. But also this week, we do a lot of talking about light and dark and light shining in darkness. Epiphany is often a time when we light candles in church, or when we think about light imagery. Sometimes we focus on stars shining in the beauty of dark. And I want to read you something from Isaiah 60, which is our first reading for this weekend, just to spend a little time teasing out this theme of light and dark and the role it plays in our theological life. From Isaiah 60. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and the Lord's glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. In our culture as American citizens in the United States, we have a lot of challenges related to race and color and the way that dark and light are seen in our culture. If you're a person who likes to watch Westerns, you might think about how the hero or the good guys always have the white hat, and the bad guys or villains always have the black hat. When we talk about being in darkness, waiting for the light to dawn, that's usually not a good place to find oneself. And we often think about these Bible scriptures that the light has come as being God showing up and dispelling the dark, that there's nothing good about dark. And I have been reading a lot of theology in recent years that many brilliant scholars have been putting out about different ways to think about light and dark. These are often themes in Advent as well, and it can be a theme that can be challenging at times, specifically as we as a church seek to respond to the sin of white supremacy in our world. You may be watching this and thinking, Pastor Delaney, it's not that big of a deal. And I can understand why you might think that, or why you might be like, this is being blown out of proportion. But something that's important to me is when someone tells me that something is bothering them or something harms them in the language I'm using, I listen to them. And I think about how I could do something differently, or how we could talk about things in a way that makes it easy for both of us to be present. And so today I ask you to just take a moment and think about dark and light. What are good things that happen in darkness? I'm a gardener, and something really awesome that happens in darkness is seed germination. I planted bulbs in October, and they are sitting in the dark earth of my soil outside, and I can't wait for them to come to life. They're already alive, to spring up above the soil in the spring. I'm so looking forward to that. Other things that happen in dark might be rest, maybe at night, you take beautiful walks outside. Maybe the stillness of night is a gift to you. Perhaps if you're a parent of small children, after they go to sleep and it's quiet and dark, that's a moment of time alone for you. Whatever the case may be, this week, I encourage us, as we think about the star that led the wise people to Jesus, and as we celebrate the gift of light in the world, we also think about the gift of darkness. And to help us do that, I have a little something that was put together by a pastor in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In our youngest days, we came to fear the dark. As we grew older, as we began to think in metaphor, darkness became unspeakable evil deeds and times of sorrow and the silence of death. Darkness has become a thing to banish. But darkness was not always a thing to be feared. God created from darkness, spoke to prophets in visions, promised to Abram under the moonless sky. Today we invite you into this kind of darkness, holy darkness, which testifies to the mystery of our God, the shaper of shadow, the whisper in the silence, the infant born at midnight. This was prepared by a pastor of a Lutheran congregation in Sioux Falls. I just want you to take a moment this week and reflect on darkness and the gifts of the dark, the beauty that can happen in shadow. And if this metaphor is something that's important to you in your life of faith, the light that comes in the darkness cannot overcome it, that's fine. And that's a beautiful metaphor as long as we remember that we're thinking in metaphor and we give thanks to God for the gifts that are revealed in the dark. And as we continue to go deeper into our theological understandings, these things may affect our liturgy, our time in worship together. So I just want to encourage you to be open, to be mindful, to think of different words for dark and light, maybe brilliance and shadow, as we notice the way that God is in both parts of this dichotomy and everywhere in between. Not only did God create night and day, God also created dusk and sunrise. God is in every part of our life, in the light and the dark, and everywhere in between. So this week, may you be blessed with the gift of God in dark and shadowy places, where God has shown up from the beginning and will continue to the end.